Mario Kart World has improved a bunch of tracks from previous games, from Dino Dino Jungle's Jurassic Park theming, to Sky High Sunday's many alternate paths, to Wario Stadium actually being a good track for once. Was it really that hard? Admittedly, Choco Mountain and Wario Shipyard's changes are a bit more iffy to me, and the changes to Desert Hills just made it suck for completely new reasons now, but I at least respect their attempts to evolve these tracks into the modern day. But what is this? This, I feel, is easily the most confusing retro track in the game, and it's not even like it doesn't have competition for that title. It's just that confusing. So why don't we take a closer look at what this track's deal really is. I'm Drewski Rose, and this is Koopa Troopa Beach. First off, let's take a look at Koopa Beach purely in a vacuum. It's a circle. In a pure layout perspective, this is so boring. And it's not like there's much on the track itself to make up for it. There's a few small ramps to trick off of, which is neat, but nothing crazy. It has Cheep-Cheeps as hazards, which is nice, but I genuinely don't think I've ever gotten hit by them. And it technically does take advantage of the new driving on top of water mechanic, but like, I do think it's fine to have simple tracks, but this just feels too simple, especially since this game's cups don't scale with how hard or simple the tracks are. So something as bare bones as this is gonna stand out a lot more when it comes after stuff like Airship Fortress. I can't believe Nintendo has been working on Mario Kart World since 2017, and not a single point in those 8 years did anyone in development say, "I hate circles!" As for how it works as a remake, it does still have 5 laps like the original, which is notable since every other SNES remake in the series doesn't do that, excluding Super Circuit of course. However, one thing those remakes did that World doesn't do is include these deep puddles you can fall into. Adding them to World wouldn't have made much sense with how its mechanics work, but it is still something that made the original slightly more interesting. There's not much else to talk about if we're just comparing the original and the remake, so instead, why don't we take a look at similar tracks and how they got remade, like SNES Mario Circuit. This isn't a remake of just one track, rather it's a combination of multiple. Lap 1 being Mario Circuit 1, Lap 2 being Mario Circuit 2, and Lap 3 being This is the same approach the Booster Course Pass took with Tour City tracks, which also had multiple variants. And with the title not having a number in its name, I assumed this would be a combination of Koopa Beach 1 and Koopa Beach 2. But I guess Nintendo has beef with Koopa Beach 1 or something, because this is just Koopa Beach 2. I mean, Koopa Beach 1 is also just a circle, so maybe a combination of 1 and 2 wouldn't have been interesting, but it is still jarring comparing this to Mario Circuit. On the topic of SNES tracks though, many of them were turned into P-Switch missions in Free Roam, which is actually really cool. These include the Choco Island tracks, the Vanilla Lake tracks, the Ghost Valley tracks, and even Koopa Beach 1. So wait, why is 2 an actual track? Are you kidding me? What makes this special? Aura? Actually, we'll get back to Aura later in the video. Heck, looking at the tracks that have been turned into missions, some of these have more interesting layouts than what actually got turned into a track. What would we actually lose if this was a mission instead? A beach track? No, because Peach Beach exists, and that got one of the craziest glow-ups in the series, only making Koopa Beach look even worse by comparison. Maybe they wanted a 2D beach track that they didn't need to drastically reinvent, but at that point, just bring back one of the GBA beach tracks. I'm not normally the kind of guy who complains about wasted slots, but dog, not a single one of Super Circuit's 20 tracks got added to this game, but instead we got, and I cannot stress this enough, a literal I hope I was able to properly explain why Koopa Beach's presence in this game is so puzzling. It's an absolute nothing burger of a track, which could have taken a new form like its fellow SNES tracks, but it just didn't. It also could have easily been replaced by similar, more interesting tracks, but it just wasn't. That's not even to mention both Mario Kart World's higher price and lower track count makes questionable decisions like this stand out all the more. So with that all covered, all I have to do is answer one simple question. Why do I like this track?
Oh, brother!
Okay, after spending all this time trashing Koopa Troopa Beach, vouching for it is gonna be quite the challenge. Unsurprisingly, a lot of people consider it to be one of, if not the worst track in the game. But surprisingly, as I watched more and more ranking videos, I saw a noticeable amount of people rank it still not high, but quite a bit above the low tier.
I like that map.
Even some saying it's the best track in its cup. which says more about the Shell Cup than Koopa Troopa Beach, but that's beside the point. As for how they were able to justify their relative affinity for this track, they all came to the same conclusion I did. Vibes and aura. The DJ at the finish line, the fantastic techno music, the giant Koopa balloon, all of it comes together to feel like an awesome beach party. It's like if Electrodrome was at a beach. When I made my track ranking purely based off of one race, the vibes were strong enough for me to put it in B tier. Above Sky High Sunday? Really? I have made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment. But while many placements have unsurprisingly changed for me since making that ranking, I still stand by Koopa Beach being in B tier. A guilty pleasure for sure, but I don't think there's anything wrong with enjoying something purely off the vibes. Heck, I will defend Moo Moo Meadows to the day I die. I don't care if it shouldn't be here. I love my silly little cows. So to conclude this video,
I f***ing love circles!
I truly have no clue how I was able to talk about this stupid circle for as long as I have, but if you enjoyed it, feel free to like and subscribe for more Switch 2 content, leave your thoughts on Koopa Troopa Beach in the comments, and check out my other videos like my Unova Pokemon League retrospective, and my outdated track ranking I mentioned earlier. Until next time, bye-bye!